welcome to your very first online video recording. We're going to jump into 1-1 Introduction to Graphing. So the first thing you guys can see on your notes is you have a Cartesian plane. You have an XY axis that we can plot ordered pairs on. So the origin of that is located at 0, 0, which would be this point right here, right in the middle where those two axes cross. The Cartesian coordinate system we label with ordered pairs. X comma y, x is always first, y is always second. So we can graph points on there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points we're going to plot, and instead of labeling those points with their ordered pairs, I'm just going to go ahead and label them with capital letters. And then we're going to plot. Remember, the x is first, y is second, x and y axes. So we're going to go to -3, and then we're going to go up to 5, big fat dot, capital A goes right there. 4, 3, 3, 4, -4, -2, 3, -4, that's E, and then F is at -3, 0. All right. If we have two variables in an equation, so you can see this 2x plus 3y equals 18, it has an x and a y in it, we know that we're looking for solutions that have an x and a y in them. So for this second example, we're going to determine if -5, 7 is a solution to that equation. And one way we can find that is just by plugging in that ordered pair. So 2 times the x value, which is -5, plus 3 times the y value of 7. And we want to know, does that equal 18? I'm not sure, so I put that question mark above the equal sign. Simplifying this, we get -10 plus 21. Does that equal 18? We'll know 11 does not equal 18, so no, this guy is not a solution to that equation. Go ahead and do this on 3, 4 as well. Repeat that exact same process. We want to know, does the left side equal the right side? Simplifying, 6 plus 12. Does that equal 18? Well, yes, in fact, 18 equals 18. So yes, that is a solution. When we're talking about linear equations, we have 3 forms that we're going to most commonly use in this course. Slope-intercept form is your one that you've been using for a long time, y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, b is your y-intercept. Point-slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. X sub 1, y sub 1 is just an ordered pair on your line, and m is still your slope. Standard form, ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c are just numbers, and then the only stipulation here is that a has to be a positive integer. So no fractions, no decimals, it has to be a whole number, and it has to be positive. Slope formula, y1 minus y2 divided by x1 minus x2. So that will tell us the slope of anything that is linear. So ways of graphing, we'll talk more about that one in class, so I can talk a little bit more in depth with you guys, but we're going to graph using either slope-intercept form or x and y intercepts, and we'll take a look at that on the next page. Okay, so if we want to graph this first guy, 2x plus 3y equals 18, it is not, so this is in standard form. Standard form is not helpful for us to graph, so we'd want to either use slope-intercept form or use x and y intercepts. On this one, since 2 and 3 both divide evenly into 18, I would use x and y intercepts here. So an x-intercept is going to have a number, and then 0 for the y value, and then a y-intercept will have 0 for x, and then a number for y. So all we're doing is plugging in 0 for y the first time, and then plugging in 0 for x, and finding those two ordered pairs. So for this first one, if I plug in 0 for y, that's going to be 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 18. 2x equals 18, so x is 9 when y is 0. So I can write that as an ordered pair, 9, 0, and I can plot that on my graph. For the second one, I'm going to go ahead and plug in 0 for x. So 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 18, or 3y equals 18. So y is 6. We get an ordered pair of 0, 6. Again, plotting that on our graph. And then all it takes is 2 points to connect a straight line. Make sure you include arrows to show that that line continues on forever. In example number 4, 3 and 5 both do not divide evenly into -10, so I would not use intercepts on that one. I would go ahead and try to get y alone, trying to get it into y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract this 3x to both sides. We get -5y equals -3x minus 10. Divide everything by a -5. Y equals +3/5 x plus 2. Now to graph something that's in slope-intercept form, start with your y-intercept. So we're going to start with that +2, put a big fat point. That graph will cross through there. And then we're going to use our slope, counting up 3/5. Looks like about there. And then all I need are those 2 points, and I can connect that straight line. You had slope formula on that other page, so we can go ahead and find the slope of a line using 2 points, using that y1 minus y2, x1 minus x2. Label your ordered pairs, x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, and then just go ahead and plug those in. 3 minus 0 divided by -1 minus 4. It's going to be 3/5. That can't simplify any further. Please do not put a decimal, so I would just leave this as -3/5. Does not matter if the negative is top or bottom or out front. It all means the same thing. Okay, so we're going to write the equation of a line given 2 points. To write the equation of a straight line in slope-intercept form, well, we have to have a slope. So repeating that process before, if you find the slope of this line, -2 minus -4 divided by 0 minus -3, that's going to be -2 plus 4 divided by 0 plus 3. 2/3 is our slope. And then if you notice, a quick little trick here, we have the y-intercept. If you remember from before when we were talking about intercepts, when x is 0 and we have a number for y, that is the y-intercept. So we can go ahead and write this in y equals mx plus b. It's going to look like 2/3 x minus 2. Okay, we're going to come back and talk about 6 together as a class. So I'm going to skip that one on your video right now. Distance formula. We can find the distance between any 2 points using this formula. It's really just the Pythagorean theorem. So if I'm going to go ahead and write this out, distance is equal to the square root of x1 minus x2 quantity squared plus y1 minus y2 quantity squared. So you can just plot points if you want and then literally use Pythagorean theorem to find that, or you can use this distance formula. So I'm going to go ahead and do A, and then I'm going to leave B for you guys to do on your own to see if you're understanding. So again, I'm going to go ahead and label these x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Plugging these into that formula right above, we're going to get -2 minus 3 quantity squared, 2 minus 6. Simplifying in those parentheses, that's going to be a -5 squared, -4 squared. Notice how I kept that in parentheses because when we square a -5, that's -5 times -5, which is going to give us a positive 25 plus a positive 16, which is going to give me the square root of 41, which cannot be simplified, so we would leave it just like that. Like I said, go ahead and pause the video, go ahead and do part B, see if you can find that distance, and then I will let you know what the distance is when you come into class. Okay, so we're going to do 8 together as well. And then midpoint formula. The midpoint between 2 points, you just average the 2 pieces. So midpoint will still be an ordered pair. And we're going to take the x's, add them, divide by 2, just finding the average. We want to find the middle. Do the same thing with the y values. And like I said, your answer should still be an ordered pair. So in example 9, let's go ahead and find the midpoint, label your two ordered pairs. Makes your job a little bit easier. When I average these, the midpoint is going to look like -4 plus 2 divided by 2, -2 plus 5 divided by 2. Simplifying this, we're going to get a -2 over 2 and 3 over 2 for a -1 and 3 halves is the midpoint, the exact middle between those two ordered pairs. We'll talk about 10 together. Equations of circles. So a circle's equation is x minus h quantity squared, y minus k quantity squared equals your radius squared. So if we want to find the equation of a circle that has a radius of 5 and a center at 3, -7, you're just plugging in these pieces. The one thing you want to remember is that that is a minus that is in the parentheses, so you want to be careful when you're substituting in to leave that as a minus. So we're going to take x minus h. Well, h is the x value of the center point. K is the y value of the center point of a circle. So we're plugging in 3 for the h value, and we're plugging in a -7 for the k value. The radius that they're telling us, it is 5, and that radius value gets squared. Simplifying this a little bit, we're going to get x minus 3 quantity squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 25, and that would be the equation of a circle that has a radius of 5 and is centered at 3, -7. So working that backwards, go ahead and please tell me what is the center and radius in example 12, and we'll go over that one in class and see if you're understanding it. Okay, hopefully that was semi-painless for you. Please come with questions. Please come with as much filled out as you possibly can, and we will see you next class.